There is this supply side argument, this lost economic potential argument, which means the spare capacity is smaller, that we're reaching full capacity and that inflation forces are just around the corner. If you were round the table at the MPC today, what would you be saying back to that argument to really push them back and say you can't hike interest rates based on that argument?
Well, I mean, this is Guessonomics. There's absolutely no data to sustain that. They're saying that there's been a permanent supply side shock which will not return when the economy recovers. There's no equation to show that. There's no data to show that. They've just made it up. The alternative argument is that this is a cyclical effect. The economy is being hurt by slow growth, and when the economy picks up, that growth will come back. So they're just making this stuff up. I mean, literally, I would literally say, you're making it up. Why now? What's different about now compared to the past? And I mean, I just see no basis for that argument whatsoever. It's nothing more than just making stuff up.
So, Peter Schaffrik, we hear from Danny that it's making stuff up. Tell me about the downside of making stuff up. Suppose for a moment that they do raise today, as is widely expected, and then they just hold pat until we know what's going with Brexit, the so-called one and done. How bad could the damage be?
Well, if I may say one thing, I mean, I hear what Danny is saying. I think the one argument that I would make is if I look at the whole package that we're having, productivity growth is dismal, and employment growth is almost certainly going to slow because the population growth is going to slow. So I think taking from that, I think there is a supply side argument to be made. However, having said that, on top of it, I think I also totally agree that the vast majority, if not all, of the inflation overshoot that we're currently seeing is also exogenous, and therefore whether or not you should respond with a rate hike to that is very, very questionable indeed. So that's the first thing to say. If I take your question properly, I think for me and for markets, the real question is not necessarily whether we get the rate hike or not. I mean, this is done and dusted already as far as markets are concerned. The question is what's going to come thereafter. We priced, roughly speaking, by the middle of next year for another one and then nothing thereafter. And the question is really, are they going to coin it in a way that the market can live with that, or do we have to price in more in the future? I think it would be a mistake, clearly. But if that's the outcome, then I think there's more downside for the market.